put that. So, yes, I'm curious. What did the guide say for today's episode and for listeners?
Yeah, well, okay, so I'm not sure when this episode will come out, but I know right as we're recording it, we're in eclipse season. How's it
Yes,
going for you, by the way?
yes. Oh gosh, it's I will say it's almost like the last couple weeks have been more like, like that lead up to the
Yes,
eclipse has felt
totally.
a little apprehensive, tension, has I don't know, fear, all the things coming up. And I've noticed a little bit more like ease as the eclipse started, but who knows? We're just at the beginning. How about you?
Right. Well, it was kind of the same. The weeks leading up to the eclipse were very challenging for me. And then it does feel like a little bit of like pressure like released a little bit as the eclipse came
Yeah.
through.
And for context, I just checked too. So as the listeners are hearing this, we're recording this towards middle of February, but it's going to be coming out like around middle March. So is
Okay.
that going to be near the end of the eclipse season, I believe, or kind of in it?
Yeah, yeah. I think the lunar eclipse is in early March, and the eclipses reverberate for the next 6 months too.
Yes.
The reason
Yes.
I say that is because the first card I pulled was the moon. And so often when the moon comes up, there's a message, especially if it comes up in an eclipse cycle where there's eventually going to be a lunar eclipse. It's like this is the lesson I'm trying to teach you during this eclipse, right? So like, to share a little bit about my perspective on eclipses, there there's not much to do during an eclipse because a lesson wants to be birthed through you from the universe. So your job is just to like feel your feelings, like ground yourself as much as possible, take care of yourself. You don't need to do a lot, but it's like you're getting a software upgrade is essentially, I think, how eclipses can work, at least how they
I
felt
love
for
that.
me.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that analogy. Yes.
And
Yes.
sometimes it's like, oh, this feels uncomfortable. This is like a glitchy software upgrade. Like, I don't know, it's not landing. I have to redo it, right? But I just say that because the moon is here. And so there's usually like, hey, the moon is trying to get you to pay attention. I'll,
Yeah.
to also share a little bit about the moon card in general, when this card comes up, there's elements of your subconscious, your dream world, your intuition, sometimes your menstrual cycle, sometimes issues to do with subconscious wounds around your mother, which is always a fun one that can come up too.
Yeah.
Right? And who amongst us doesn't have a little bit of a mother wound, right? But mostly, I think what it's really here to say is the message about the following cards. So the moon is trying to communicate with you and say, pay attention to this lesson that's coming up through an eclipse season, which was the Five of Swords and the Four of Swords. And I'll
Oh,
talk about each of these individually, and then
okay.
I'll share a card that can be an action because I'm also somebody who likes to give people something to take away, right? Where they can like
Yes.
navigate it a little bit better. So eclipses and growth, they always have contraction points, and the contraction points are the ones I've never had children, but contractions, you have them when you're giving labor, right?
Yes.
And they're the painful parts, from what I understand.
Yes.
Right? And
True.
so, but the contractions are the necessary part for the expansion and eventually like the creation of life, right? And
Yes.
so fives are kind of a contraction point. So when we have a five in a tarot reading, we might be feeling pain. And this is the Five of Swords, and the swords represent our thoughts. So the Five of Swords often represent to me an invitation to look at uh, the idea that I'm a mistake, that I'm not doing enough, that I'm not good enough, that I've messed up, that things are not working out for me. So the fives in tarot, almost all the fives in tarot, carry that energy a little bit.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
Five of Swords really comes up when your thoughts are kind of going like in that direction and there's a little bit of a spiral. And so the invitation with the Five of Swords is that true? Like, I mean, mindset work is so important. Even as spiritual people, you got to be like,
A
I
hundred
cannot
percent.
always trust what my brain is telling me, right?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
the Five of Swords is here to say like, hey, sweetheart, like are you going through this thought spiral, this thinking pattern where you're like, I messed up, I'm bad, I'm not enough, this is never going to work out. And then it offers you the Four of Swords, which is a card of rest and respite. And it says it's okay to put down the thinking mind right now. This is a card that says go take a nap. Give your thoughts a nap. Your thoughts right now are like a kindergartner, or I guess I don't know when kids stop napping. It's like a 3-year-old who hasn't had a nap.
Yeah.
like
Yes, yes.
right? And so there's this invitation here through these cards for your community to, through the eclipse season, through the lessons of the eclipse season, um, to just like let the thinking mind go a little bit,
Hmm.
to investigate and to notice where your thoughts, your automatic thoughts want to say, you're a screw up, I made a mistake, this isn't working out, I'm not enough, is really one of the energies of the Five of Swords. And
Yeah.
then to say, hey, do I just need to take a nap? Like, have I been sleeping? Like, how true are these stories?
Yeah.
And just try to put a little distance between you and your thoughts, if that makes any sense. I'd love to hear if, if that
Yes. No,
resonates
no,
with
no.
you.
I all of this is landing. This is so beautiful. And I'm excited. Catherine, I might even have to like almost even carve out this reading because it's so beautifully aligned to this energy of the eclipse that we're in like right now that I might even have to carve this out and like share it out a little bit sooner than the full release just to like tease it a little bit because I really do think this will land with women in the community listening to Awaken.
Mhm.
I also want to share, I loved the whole thing, the synopsis, the summary kind of what that means. My biggest thing too is I think so many of us, especially as we stand in this moment, this precipice of like, okay, we came here for a reason. The world looks a bit like a shit show right now. And like I think so many it's like I want to like I feel like called to do something. Like we got to do something. We got to fix this mess. We got to like, right? And I almost just feel like but these cards are also a reminder of like we're in this contraction. We're in the like might look ugly right now, might feel painful, might feel uncomfortable. Your thought mind might start playing patterns of like we're not doing enough, we must be making a mistake, right? Like kind of all that. And it's saying like, look, stand back, take a little rest, anchor into who you are and why you're here. We're going to get through this. So I just love that like it's like nope, like the mind might say, okay, we got to do like a million things, we got to do it now, and we got to fix things now. Pause, hold
Pause.
on, look at what's
Mhm.
coming up. So yeah, no, I mean
Rest.
this is so yeah, it's landing. I think it'll
Yeah.
land for people too as they listen.
Yeah, well, what I'd love to offer is to pull a card to give your audience. Oops, there we go. Okay, so what just happened?
Jumped out at you.
Two cards jumped out at me. So those cards, a lot of people, and I do too, call them jumpers. And so, if for anybody watching the video, I'm shuffling like this, like, and what happened is you kind of hit it and boop, like some cards kind of just spurt out
They
essentially.
were
And
like, we're the
those,
ones, we're the message.
yes. And so in my mind, I was holding the question, what is an aligned action that the guides of Maria's community can give her audience right now? And two cards pulled out. They're also sword cards. So let me pause and say
Interesting.
there are four sword cards in this reading. Okay, and I'll get to what these two mean. So I just talked about the 4 and 5 of swords, and now I
Yep.
have the page of swords and the 9 of swords. So when we have there's tarot has suits. It's much like a playing deck. You
Oh,
have
okay.
spades, clubs, diamonds, whatever.
Yeah.
There are swords, pentacles, wands, and cups in
Okay.
tarot. And each of those represent a different energy, and swords represent your thoughts and your mindset, and sometimes your voice and your words and ideas.
Okay.
So, your audience has a swords heavy reading, meaning that the energies we're talking about right now in the council from their guides are primarily like investigate your thoughts,
Yes.
separate yourself from your thoughts. How on point is your mindset? Have you done your mindset journaling lately? Have you done your affirmations? And it's really, especially with these cards, it's really an invitation that like your catastrophizing thoughts are not real. Like your
Yeah.
intrusive thoughts might be taking over. Can you just take a beat? And that's okay. We're all human. Like I
Yes.
and of course this if there's any time to catastrophize, I feel like we're in it,
Right.
globally. So I get it. I
Yep.
have those thoughts too. And can we just step back? Can our thoughts, you seem like you
Yes.
lead a community of heart-centered women.
Yes. Yes.
So the mind is the executor of the heart's purpose. The mind
Mm-hmm.
is not the one in charge, but we put our mind in charge so often. And this is really just an invitation to be like, hey, is your mind, your ego in the driver's seat? And like, how's that going? Because it
Yes.
might not be going so good. And can you lead from the heart and drop into the wisdom of the heart too?
This is just, yeah, it's such a beautiful, timely reminder. So good.
Yes. So the cards that are the aligned action from your community's guides are the Nine of Swords and the Page of Swords.
Okay.
So the Nine of Swords, you can just look at it like this is a card of the 3 a.m. wake ups, right? And you're like when you're spiraling and you can't get out of that thought spiral and everything seems like, oh my God, I have to do this and that. And how am I going to solve this problem, right? We've all been there. We've all had nights like that.
Yes.
So when we have the Nine of Swords, there's really just this invitation. Again, it's similar to these other cards that we've already talked about, but it's like, how true is that? Like it's we live in a modern world, and because our nervous systems are so dysregulated by modern things, it, you know, we had a dysregulated nervous system that served us when we were living in caves and there was a tiger nearby.
Yes.
And then we could be like, oh my God, the tiger's nearby. I got to get out of here. But now with the Nine of Swords, the invitation is like, is there actually a tiger like in the room with you? Or have you made up the tiger
Mm,
in your mind,
so
right?
good. Yeah.
So again, it's that pause from your thoughts. And then we have this lovely invitation, the Page of Swords. So there are court cards in tarot too, much like in a regular playing
Oh,
deck. So
okay. Yep.
there are pages, knights, queens, and kings. And the pages are the fresh messengers. They're the inner children. They're the new the new thinkers. And so the Page of Swords in particular says, well, how can you think about this differently? What's a new idea around this? What's a new perspective? The Page of Swords in particular offers a new perspective. So, it might be whatever, if this is landing for any of your listeners and they're like, oh my God, totally. Like the Page of Swords, like it could be like a journaling invitation, like, how is everything actually going okay for me? Or why is this situation happening, for my highest good? Or what lessons am I learning? Or how could I see this differently? What are 10 ways I could actually take a look at the situation differently? That's really the invitation of the Page of Swords. And I love that because it's a really fresh, positive card. It says there's potential here right now for you to change the way you're thinking.
Hey, oh my gosh, that whole reading you just did for the Awaken community, it just feels like it really well landed. And to end on a card, and again, these two cards just jumped out of her deck. That's the beauty of when you're working with cards.
Yeah.
They just like leapt out. But that invitation to these automatic thoughts that are happening, these spirals, these, and again, it's not to say that the world isn't chaotic right now. It's not to say that, we aren't literally here witnessing a collapse of old systems. And it